And what are the Northern Lights?
The Northern Lights is it's like a gaseous phenomenon, right?
So are you.
As soon as I said it. Hello and welcome to the Worldwide Honeymoon Travel Podcast, the podcast that talks about all things couples travel, including destinations, tips, advice, and more. I'm Chris.
I'm Kat.
And this is episode number 263. Do you have any airplane news for us?
No. Other than we're going to be booking flights soon for some 2025 stuff.
I have started ever since I went on that 2 or 3 episode streak of there was
2 episodes.
There was airplane news.
2 episodes of airplane news.
I have started just typing in airplane into Google News and just seeing what comes up. I'll be honest with you, it's pretty entertaining.
Is it like the Florida man?
Not quite to that level. But it's just fun news.
Yeah.
Fun
for the passengers?
Fun for the reader.
Okay.
More so.
Yeah, define fun for who?
Right. But let me ask you this. Let me ask you a question, because this was apparently, I did not see this until I was doing this earlier this week. But imagine that you are sitting in a window seat on a flight. Okay. When
it was my preferred seat until the Alaska Airlines thing.
Well,
aisle from now on.
When do you or let me ask you it this way. Who controls that window shade?
The person in the window seat.
Okay. What if, you know how on some planes it's not an easy window is right next to the seat? You know how sometimes it's a little bit in front, or maybe it's like half the window's by you and the other half is by the person in front of you. You know what I mean? How it sometimes doesn't line up.
Weirdly lined up.
Who controls it in that instance?
I think whoever has the largest portion of the window.
I agree.
Well, I'm glad we're
the
in agreement.
The reason I'm asking this is because apparently there was this video that went viral. Okay. And it was a video where there was a child's hand reaching back and closing the window, and this person would open the window shade again. And then the child's hand would close it, this person would open it, and then I think it was on the 3rd or 4th time when they tried to close it, and the person, who was clearly an adult, just put their hand there and was obviously stronger than the child, so they could just keep the shade up.
Mm-hmm. But then I feel is the child just doing that for fun?
Well, it sparked a debate, and it was well, who controls the window shade? And I was how is this a debate? The window shade is controlled by the person who has the window seat.
Yeah.
Maybe this makes me heartless, but I'm not necessarily, if it's going to be a blinding glare for someone, right? I'm going to be considerate about that.
Yeah.
But if I book the window seat, it's because I want to look out the freaking window.
Yeah. But I
control the window shade.
I do like if you're doing a night flight or something, or it's supposed to be a simulated night flight where they turn off the lights and stuff.
Oh, then it should be closed.
You should probably close your window at that point.
I agree.
And then just use your reading light or something, because then it's
Yes.
everyone's trying to sleep, and that, it is so bright having the window open if it's a sunny day and they're trying to be oh, it's time to sleep. But yeah, I think that if you have the window seat, you get to control the window seat. My guess is the child was just bored on the plane and playing with it, and that's probably why the person in the window seat got annoyed.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it sparked this whole debate, and they're well, what if the child was trying to sleep because that was their nap time?
Well, then wouldn't the parent be hey, do you think the parent would maybe talk about that? Also, what child is willingly taking a nap without the parent's interference? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that was the other thing. And also,
get real.
It's, yeah, still, and I don't know, maybe it's the person who's sitting next to the window shade that gets to control the window shade, unless it's a simulated flight.
Well, and I think if any sort of light bothers someone and you're not in the window seat, just bring bring an eye mask.
Yeah.
That's what, you can bring an eye mask on a plane and put it over your head, and there you go. It's dark and you can sleep.
Yeah. It's also dark when you close your eyes.
Okay.
I mean, there's an invention.
Okay.
But I will also
Goodness.
say that I also got a good chuckle this past week out of some plane stuff. So you know that that my buddies and I have a long running group chat.
Yeah.
And one of our favorite things to do is text pictures of our airport beers. And once someone knows that that you are flying somewhere, there's two people in particular in our group that enjoy tracking the flight. So they'll be like, "Hey, you're running late," while the person is sitting on the plane, and they're like, "Yeah, I know." And they're like, "It looks like you guys are delayed even more." And it's like, "Oh, this is the type of plane you're on." And it's like, "Oh, okay." Like 9 times out of 10, and actually 10 times out of 10, unless you tell me, I have no idea what type of plane I'm on.
Most of the time you can look it up as you're booking. It'll tell you the type of plane. If it doesn't, you can just go to Seat Guru and like type in your flight number
and it'll tell you
the type of plane you're on, because then you can look at the seat map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I got a good chuckle out of that as well, because there's been some flights in our group recently, and like I said, we have a flight tracker who will I mean he even like
my dad likes to track all the flights.
Yeah, there was one time though where this person's flight had to they had like a rough landing, and I don't know if they had to abort the landing because of wind, but yeah. It was
that happens a lot.
A lot of plane news. There was
that
a plane
can happen if it's pretty windy and stuff, and they can't like make a smooth. I don't know.
There
They
was a
can abort
plane this
landing and
past
retry.
week. I want to say it was in London that had to abort the landing because of high winds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not like a super uncommon thing, though.
No.
Like, I mean, it sucks because you have to like redo the landing again.
Let me ask you this. Would you rather be on a plane that goes, that's like going down to land and has to abort and then re-land? Or would you rather be on one of those roller coasters that like shoots you off, but you don't make it over the hill and you fall back down backwards, and then you have to be shot again over the hill?
Probably the re-landing, because I don't know. I feel like pilots are trained specifically for that, and I feel like that's like an issue with the roller coaster, and you're not quite. And I don't want to like. I don't know.
You don't want to try it again?
The falling backwards thing sounds terrifying to me on a roller coaster. So like, no.
See, I would rather do the.
Also, planes are technically safer than roller coasters.
Oh
so.
yeah, 100%. I would rather do the roller coaster, just because, like, landing is my least favorite part of any flight.
See, I hate takeoff.
I also do not
Takeoff's
like
my
takeoff.
Least favorite part. Yeah.
I like the in between part.
You like the flying bit.
I like the fillings. I don't like the bread.
Okay.
That's what I would say. Do you have a highlight from this past week?
My highlight is the fact that we had a wild Friday night, guys.
This is
Super
my highlight too.
We did our taxes, and yeah, I hate doing taxes so much. Like, it's the most annoying thing, because like most of the time the government knows how much you owe, and it's just like, let's test to see how much you know you owe, and if you get it wrong, you're in big trouble. And it's so annoying. But what was supposed to take, apparently it's estimated an hour, about 2 hours.
No, they estimated an hour 57 minutes.
Yeah, and we took about 3
hours,
3+ hours to do it. Luckily, no tears. Little bit of frustration. Had to message one of the tax professionals at one point to figure it out on the software, and it was just it's a lot.
Here we are.
It's literally like my least favorite thing to do all year is doing taxes.
I actually do not mind it.
I hate it so much.
I think it's kind of fun.
No. I just think it's so annoying.
Okay.
And I'm ready for it to be done.
Well, luckily it is.
Yeah. So highlight is finishing it.
Finishing taxes.
Yeah, that's a highlight.
Anything that you have that you want to talk about? Anything more before we talk about today's topic?
Nope.
Okay.
Just glad taxes are done.
There. Double down on that.
Yeah. Just done.
So today's episode is going to be the first in a 2-part series. We have talked about the Big Five and the Marine Big Five from some past trips. And that got us thinking that those terms are just kind of perfect travel terms, but not necessarily just for the wildlife. they're also just like a nice little clean term to use for like a top 5 anything. So, we broke up this episode and the following episode into 10 lists of big 5 things. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about 5 lists that deal more with nature and like natural things. And then in the next episode, we're going to be talking about 5 lists of 5 of things that are more like man-made, not naturally occurring.
Yeah.
So without further ado, we will start with our first list today.
Okay.
And that is Big 5 islands.
Yeah. What are the big 5 when it comes to islands? If you get to visit them, it's very exciting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do
you want to go first?
You know what? I will have you list your Big 5 first.
Do I just list them?
Well, like list and talk about it.
Okay. The first one I've written down, and this isn't like one island, it's the Galapagos Islands. It is a little archipelago. And I think obviously it's unique. You've heard of, the Darwin and evolution of the species and stuff, and he studied in the Galapagos Islands, so a lot of people go to visit that. But there's a lot of endemic species in the Galapagos Islands. They're very different. Like each island is pretty different from the other in terms of some of the times the things that you're going to see on those islands. Volcanoes, dryness, sandy beaches, like there's just lots of different things you can check out there, but it's known for its birds and its wildlife and, the dramatic landscapes and things like that. And apparently the seals don't care and they will just come right up to you and they're very friendly. But yeah, I just think that the natural wonder and the endemic species that come with the Galapagos Islands, very, very cool.
I agree. And the Galapagos were part of my Big 5 islands as well.
Do you want to talk about it?
You said everything that I was going to say. I mean, I think it's just one of those destinations that is so unique, is so kind of untouched to a certain degree.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these, not all of them or a lot of them, but I guess quite a few are uninhabited, or there's a limit to the amount of tourists that can come per day, so as to keep the Galapagos Islands unaffected by humans for the most part. You know what I mean? Like pretty natural.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What's your next one?
My next one is Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And I think this is a really unique island. It's beautiful, first of all, and it certainly has it's got a rainforest with El Yunque National Rainforest. It has mountains where they've got coffee farms. But I think what makes Puerto Rico very, very unique is the fact that it has 3 of the 5 world's bioluminescent bays. There is one on the smaller island off Puerto Rico called Vieques that is the brightest bioluminescent bay in the world that is lit up at night by dinoflagellates. They're little plankton-like creatures that basically light up when they're disturbed. So if you touch the water, it'll light up. And it's really magical to see the one in Vieques. It's the brightest in the world, and it's just really neat to kayak and explore that. But there's 2 other ones on the island. There's another one in the southwestern part of Puerto Rico, and La Peguera is the only one that you can swim in, which is really cool. And then there's another one the closest one to San Juan, and that one is another bio bay that you can boat on. But 3 bioluminescent bays, 3 of 5 in the world. Now, this isn't the only bioluminescent dinoflagellates creating things. I know that there are beaches in San Diego that sometimes have this, but we're talking bioluminescent bays in the world that have this unique ecosystem, higher salinity, that sort of thing that's just sort of perfect for these creatures to live and reproduce like crazy. And you basically feel like you're splashing around and magical because it's lit up everywhere. So I think that's a really unique thing that Puerto Rico has specifically going for it for sure, as far as a natural wonder, are those bioluminescent bays.
I mean, plus everything else there is to do on Puerto Rico.
Everything else in Puerto Rico. It's a beautiful place to go. Like I said, the rainforest, the mountains, the beaches. We're talking natural here. The natural wonders here. Yeah. So I'm trying to only talk about the nature part on this one, and then we can talk about obviously cities and different things on the next episode. But aside from that, natural wonders in Puerto Rico, yeah. I mean, of course, you have the rainforest and you've got the beaches and the clear water and gorgeous things. So well worth going to. Lots of natural beauty, waterfalls, et cetera, et cetera. But I would say the bioluminescent bays are certainly the biggest thing.
Well, now that you reminded me that this is the natural episode.
Yeah.
So I was taking it more with islands as like islands naturally occurred.
I mean, look, we didn't define it.
We didn't define it. I will go with my second one.
Okay. Now I'm interested.
Mine is Japan.
Okay.
Is that on your list?
Nope.
What?
No, it's not.
That's high on your travel
I
list.
mean, yeah, but I just found some really cool islands that I'm excited to talk. Not that Japan isn't.
Wow,
but
sorry, Japan.
No.
I'll bring it back here for you. I have that Japan has well, with the natural elements, wonderful nature. You have Mount Fuji, you have the bamboo forest, but it also offers extensive city life, food, culture, all of that kind of stuff, the history, the temples. Not all of that is naturally occurring, but the island itself did naturally occur.
And there's multiple islands on Japan too. So you
Yes,
have
it is.
some beautiful, gorgeous beaches in the south, but then you also have amazing mountains that you can go skiing on in the wintertime up north. So really cool, beautiful, natural, thermal waters in some areas and things like that. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What is your third?
Mine is the North Island of New Zealand.
Ooh, okay. Tell me about
And
it.
I just think this island is very unique in its like geography and geographical features. I mean, you have like Rotorua that has some of those springs and geysers and hot springs and things. You've got the Waitomo glowworm caves. Obviously, there's some great wine up near Auckland, so it's a wine region area. It's got a good climate for that. But I just think the fact that you've got so many beautiful changes in that topography going on in the northern island of New Zealand. I mean, the South Island too, but if I had to pick an island, I would go with the North Island of New Zealand.
Okay.
Yeah.
My third island is staying down in Oceania.
Okay.
And it is Australia. Is Australia on your list?
No. It's a big island, though.
It is a big island.
It's like the size of the continental U.S.
So
Yeah.
I have Australia down. Again, from a natural perspective, they have the beach, they have the coral reefs. The
Great Barrier Reef.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They also have the outback, and kind of like the Galapagos, a lot of animals that you won't find elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Koala, kangaroo, wallabies, Tasmanian devil, although that's down on the island of Tasmania.
Yeah. Part of Australia.
Yeah. So, yeah, just another one of those places that is unlike anywhere else in the world, sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think, again, that's another place with a lot of unique geographical formations. You have like this dry, arid desert sort of in the outback, but then you also have the Daintree rainforest. And again, like beachy destinations and places that are great for growing wine. So it's just a lot of diversity, I suppose, in those landscapes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your next island?
My next one is Iceland.
Okay.
And I mean, it's the land of fire and ice. I think, again, it's a very unique geographical destination. You've got glaciers, you've got thermal springs, there are geysers again, Diamond Beach, so a black sand beach with ice on it. You can also swim between two tectonic plates there, which is really cool. They're volcanoes. It's also the land of the midnight sun, or the 24 or darkness during the wintertime. It's also the place where you can see another natural wonder, the Northern Lights. So all of those things, I mean, just between the heat in the ground, but then the coldness temperature-wise, as well as glaciers and different things like that. I mean, it's such a unique place to visit naturally, whether you want to go hiking or, swimming between tectonic plates in very warm scuba gear or wetsuits. And yeah, it's just a really cool place to check out, or just go stargazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
My fourth island is a place that is slowly creeping higher and higher on my list.
Okay.
Antarctica.
Is that an island?
It's not connected to anything else.
Okay. All right.
It's an island, right?
I just thought it was a big mass of kind of land, but mostly ice.
Surrounded by water.
I don't.
Right?
I guess.
I'm like...
Okay, well, just keep talking
hold
about
on.
Antarctica.
I was like very confident that Antarctica was an island.
I mean,
and now
I
you have
guess
me
it is,
second
but it's
guessing
like-
everything.
You're going for like the big islands. Next, you're going to be like the whole continent of North and South America combined is an island.
Well, technically, there's the Panama Canal.
Okay.
Is Antarctica an island? The Antarctic continent is a land mass covered with ice. Interesting.
So not an island.
How is that not an island?
It's massive. All right, well, Christopher clearly doesn't know his own rules, but I'll keep going while Christopher actually thinks of another island here.
Hold on. There is a bit of debate as to whether Antarctica should be considered an island or not. And if it's not clear that it's not an island, then it's clear that it is an island.
Okay.
I mean...
Okay, well then why don't you talk about Antarctica then?
It's kind of like the last wonder, right? I mean, I've said this on previous episodes as well, but it's the last frontier. The wildlife that you can see down there, the lack of light pollution, the fact that you're truly quote unquote out there, the ability to like whether it's set foot on this continent or see the wildlife that that you are one of, I mean, a very, very few number of people to actually like have that experience and have that privilege is just pretty sweet. And you can live the island life down there because it is an island.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I wouldn't be packing only Hawaiian shirts to go there. But I would say my last one is Palawan in the Philippines. And so this area is known for its crystal clear blue waters, coral, white beaches, great for diving and snorkeling, but it also has one of the new 7 wonders of nature, Puerto Princesa Subterranean River National Park. So yes, it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and a new 7 wonders of the world, the new one. It's an underground river with a second floor that has waterfalls and stuff in the cave. So it's a really unique geological formation that's happening underground. And it also has, this whole area has a full mountain to the sea ecosystem. So a very unique ecosystem. But yeah, I thought that was a really unique thing that this island has in the Philippines, is a subterranean river, but with also layers to it.
And what was it called again?
The Puerto Princesa Subterranean River National Park.
Awesome.
On the island of Palawan in the Philippines.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
My last island is Madagascar.
I had a feeling you were going to pick that one, so I didn't pick that one.
Wow.
Yeah.
We could also just agree.
All right.
Yes, Madagascar.
That's because you like the leaping lemurs.
I do like leaping lemurs. They do have lemurs. Again, it's there's like a theme with my islands here. Wildlife. There's the beaches, although not in Antarctica. But there's islands with unique wildlife. That is on those islands, and Madagascar is no different there. Madagascar also has a smaller mammal called an ai. Have you heard of that?
Mm-mm.
I remember that I had an animals coloring book when I was a child, and there was an ai in there, and I had never heard of an ai, and I didn't know what it looked like, and I like panicked, and I just colored the entire thing black.
What does it look like?
The entire thing is black.
Is it really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what does it look like? Does it look like a primate? Does it look like a lemur? Does it look like a cat?
It doesn't look like
squirrel,
a cat. It kind of looks like
slow loris.
It kind of looks like an opossum.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, pretty cool. So
nice.
They also have an ai. All right, that was Big 5 islands. Now we will move on to Big 5 land animals.
Yeah, around the world. So we're not just talking about African safari Big 5, where the Big 5 there is apparently what used to be the most dangerous to hunt, but nowadays most kind of the one that people sort of want to check off and see the most on safari. And those are lion, leopard, elephant, buffalo. And why am I blanking on this last one? Lion, leopard, elephant, buffalo. Rhino and
There
a
you
rhino.
go. Yep.
Yeah.
But
But now we're just talking around the world. Top 5 land animals, or the big 5 that would be cool to see.
Yes. So why don't you just run through your 5?
Yeah. So my first one is the bison, the American bison. It's the largest mammal in North America, and it can run up to 35 miles per hour. So you see lots every year. There's a video of people in one of the national parks getting too close to a bison, not realizing that these animals are actually really fast, and they don't like when you try to approach them. So, yeah, don't try to approach a bison. They're ginormous. But yeah, you can see them out west, especially in like Yellowstone and some of the national parks. I have tiger, which can be found in India, just because like tigers are really cool. And lion, I mean, come on, quintessential. I think that's what everyone wants to see on an African safari is a lion. It's just really cool. They're kind of like the king of the, is it
King of the Jungle.
king of the jungle?
Yeah.
Really? Is that right? Because they're mostly the savannah.
It's King of the Jungle.
Well, they're the king. Everyone knows lions are a big cool thing to see on safari. Grizzly bears, something I'm not sure if I'll ever see because Chris always calls me a bear curse.
Not something I'm sure if I'll ever see again.
Okay. But you can certainly find them in like Canada, Alaska, like different places in Canada and Alaska, Yellowstone, Glacier, sort of northern parts of the western part of the U.S. So grizzly bears, they're just big brown bears, and yeah, pretty cool to see. And then my last one is another African animal that I think doesn't get enough love because it's not on the big 5, the hippo. I just think they're a lot of fun.
I love hippos.
I do too. I mean, obviously, again, like bison, please do not approach them. They are very fast. They
Same with
may look
hippos.
cuddly and fun. They are very fast. And they are also one of the most dangerous animals in Africa. So don't approach them, but they are a lot of fun to watch. They're just, I don't know, they're just so fun. They look like they would be very squishy to hug, but don't hug them.
Don't hug them.
But don't hug them, yeah.
What
What are your big 5 land animals?
So funny enough, we only overlap on 1.
Okay.
Are you surprised about that?
No. There's a lot of animals in the world.
There are, but like
Yeah.
there's a right 5 here.
Okay.
The first one is the Yeti.
Oh, get out of here. Proven animals, not crypto. Not crypto. Cryptid?
Crypto?
Cryptid animals? What are they called?
Mythical?
No, there's another one's like a cryptid or something like that. Like they're not proven to exist or something.
Do you know how many videos there are of Bigfoot sightings?
Oh, okay. Why don't we...
Number 1, Bigfoot.
No.
Number 2, just kidding.
Big Ness or Loch Ness. Nessie.
That's not a land. Big Ness.
Big Ness.
Big Ness. That's
Unicorn.
also not a land
Number 2,
animal.
unicorns.
Unicorns would be pretty cool.
Number 3, the abominable snowman.
That's a subspecies of Yeti.
Okay.
I will start with the first one. My one and only that you listed. King of the Jungle. Lion.
Even though it's more of a savanna situation.
I love seeing leopards on safari. That's probably my favorite big cat to see on safari.
Yeah, they're really cool. I like leopards.
I love jaguars, but there's something about a lion. They're just, I mean, they're massive. So I went with a lion. Number 2, favorite animal in the world.
A gorilla.
Mountain gorilla. Yeah. Easily one of the coolest animals out there. Number 3, polar bear. Largest bear. Gonna have to go see it on my own. An experience I would have hoped to share together. Maybe if you agree to like not look, maybe some of them will show their faces, but number 3 is a polar bear. Number 4, I was shocked that you didn't include this.
Okay.
African elephant.
I like elephants, but I didn't want to include like all the big 5. You know what I mean?
I didn't include. I included 2 of them, but there's a reason that they're there. And then number 5 is a North American animal. Can you guess it?
A moose.
Yes. Just a sweet animal.
It's just huge.
Massive animal.
Massive animal.
And just a freaking herbivorous tank.
It is a tank.
Yeah. So those are my land animals. Let's go on to our sea/marine animal list.
Mm-hmm.
Now let me ask you this: do you have any birds here?
No.
Would you have counted birds as land animals?
Yes.
I would have too.
Okay, good.
Because I was thinking about this and I was like, I don't think that they need like their own separate category, but I also like, I don't have a bird.
They live predominantly in the water.
Okay, let me ask you this then.
And it can be aquatic, fresh. It doesn't have to be like, I know we said sea, but it could be freshwater or saltwater.
Would you consider a walrus a water animal or a land animal?
I would say a water, because it spends a huge chunk of its life in the water.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I wasn't confident. I already knew that Antarctica was going to be a controversial inclusion.
Yikes.
As was Japan. So I didn't want to like triple down with walrus, so I did not include it. Number 1, great white shark.
Okay.
Especially like when you have the opportunity to be in the water with them. It's just like it's an incredibly humbling feeling. Seeing how just again massive these creatures are. Number 2, sea turtles.
Oh.
Yeah.
Love a good sea turtle.
They are they're prominent in the Galapagos, Australia, Maldives, Borneo, as well as the Caribbean. I have never seen a sea turtle in the wild that I can remember.
Well, hopefully we see them in the wild.
That's my hope. Number 3, humpback whale.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
And I want to clarify something that I had said on a previous episode, which I think when we were talking about when we went whale watching in Canada, and I was like, like it was okay, but like I had seen humpback whales and I really wanted to see an orca. Mm-hmm. The one of the organizations that is one of the leading studiers of humpback whales estimates that less than 1% of people in the world will ever see a humpback whale.
Man.
So I was like, you know what? I am going to
be thankful.
I'm going to be thankful. Humpback whale, number 3. Number 4, manta ray. And I'm not talking about like the little, like the different like species of rays. I'm talking the manta ray.
No, the manta ray, the big one.
7 meters or 23 feet in length.
They're big.
Yeah. They are prominent basically between the tropics, Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn. And you can see these types of rays in Mexico, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Thailand, Hawaii, Australia, Micronesia, and in other locations as well in that range of latitudes, if you're picturing a map. And then my number 5 is an octopus. I think it would be really cool to see an octopus in the wild. Mm-hmm. I don't think we have seen an octopus in the wild.
No, I don't think so.
Not that I can think of.
Pretty cool.
The blue ring octopus.
Oh, that's the tiny one that's
very
like really
toxic.
Deadly. Yeah.
Yep. That's not like necessarily the only one I want to see, but octopus are also prevalent in Malaysia, Philippines, Papua New Guinea, Indonesia, and then off the western coast of Canada, there's the Pacific octopus. But what are your top 5 or big 5 water animals?
Yeah, we don't overlap at all. So
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
My first one is orca. I really want to see an orca. I was so excited to see humpback whales. I really wish they would have like breached, but I guess they don't necessarily do that outside of Vancouver and stuff. I think that's more like in the tropical parts, or like near Hawaii and stuff. But orca, I feel like they're all over the place. You know what I mean? Like you can see them in Antarctica. You can see them, up north in Canada. You could just see them all over the place. I feel like not all over the place, but they seem to be found in a lot of places. But I feel like they're the kind of the top of the food chain in the ocean. Like sharks are scared of them. Dolphins are scared of them. Like, not that I'm like, oh, they're feared, but like, I just feel like they're like just like a crazy animal. It's like the king of the jungle. I feel like maybe they're like the king of the ocean.
There was a video this past week of an orca single-handedly killing a shark. And like normally they will hunt in packs. Mm-hmm. This was a 1v1 matchup.
And this is like,
which was incredibly rare.
Yeah. I mean, even in like the Cape of Storms and stuff in South Africa that was like used to be teeming with great white sharks, they're being chased out by orcas. Like it's just, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I think they're the bullies of the ocean. And I'm not sure how I feel about it, but they also look cute. So It's hard to say. This one is a really unique one. Axolotl. Have you ever heard of an axolotl?
I feel like I've heard of it, but I can't picture it.
So this is, they call it like the salamander. I don't know. It's salamander-esque. It lives in like muddy, murky areas, predominantly in the Xochimilco area of Mexico City in those old canals. But they're kind of being, unfortunately, with the exotic pet trade and just, pollution and things over time, their population is at a lot of risk. So you can find them now at the Axolotl Museum for like if you want to go see them. So a little bit harder to see them in the wild, but they are in around lakes in Mexico. But I think what's really unique about these is that they can regrow multiple things on their body. So not just if they lose a tail, they can regrow it. They can regrow their heart, their brain, muscle tissue.
What?
Like that's why they're so interesting, is because they can people are studying them being like, how are they able to do this? They can regrow so many things from scratch.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's really cool.
That's a pretty cool animal. Next up, the narwhal. It was an animal that I once didn't believe it existed, but I had no reason why I would question it, I guess, until one of my friends went to go see the narwhals. They are basically the unicorns of the ocean. I mean,
do you respect narwhals now?
Yeah.
Put that same respect on Bigfoot's name.
Okay. These are proven to exist.
Just because you don't believe it exists?
Oh, okay. These are actually
It
documented.
doesn't exist.
So these can be found mostly in the Canadian Arctic. Their tusks are actually a tooth. And they're highly sensitive. There's lots of... They've been used, they could potentially be used in communication as well as eating, different things like that. But it's mostly the males that have these big tusks. They can be as long as 10 feet.
I thought you meant that they were like very sensitive, like emotional creatures. Not that that the tusk
has a lot of nerves in it and it's sensitive. But yeah, so they're not really quite sure why they necessarily have it. It's made of the same material as a tooth. It is a type of tooth. Mostly males have it, but they're wondering if it's used for communication or eating or whatever. Next up, I'm surprised you didn't mention this one, the mantis shrimp.
Mantis shrimp would be awesome.
Okay.
That would be awesome.
Well, first of all, their eyes can detect cancer and neuron activity.
Cancer?
Yeah.
What do they like? Do they have like a cancer signal?
I have no idea. I don't know how they know. I just looked up fun facts about mantis shrimp.
Like lift one leg for cancer.
They can attack at 23 meters per second with an acceleration of 10,400 grams.
Same.
I don't know what that means, but it's really fast. They have like the strongest punch in the animal kingdom, I want to say.
I believe you're correct.
Like,
yeah.
you don't mess with... They're little and they're beautiful. They're like multiple colored and they're just really cute looking in the ocean, but you don't want to mess with them because they can punch the crap out of you. They are very strong animals, very beautiful and strong, and they live in the Indian and Pacific Oceans. Lastly, this animal lives in the Arctic, and it's the Greenland shark. And so they live at quite deep in the water for the most part, but they can live up to 250 to 500 years old. And their gestation, they don't reach like the age of maturity where they can start mating and stuff until they're about 150 years old. And their gestation period is between 8 to 18 years, which like, oh my goodness. But like there's possibly sharks that have been around since like the Renaissance.
Wow.
So like these sharks have seen some things.
Wow.
They are eaten in Iceland. It's one of their delicacies, but yeah, they are just a really cool animal that they're like the age of trees. I don't know, they're like a tree shark, but it's the Greenland shark.
Tree shark.
Yeah, so those are my big five.
That's
Orca,
a good list.
axolotl, narwhal, mantis shrimp, and Greenland shark.
That's a really, really good list. Moving on to the second to last big five list here for this episode is natural wonders of the world. Mm-hmm. I went first into sea animals, so why don't you go first here?
Yeah. Do you want me to list them all out and kind of mention them?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Number one, are not number one because they're really not ranked in any specific order, but Mammoth Cave National Park in Kentucky. It is the largest cave system in the entire world. And there are parts that are over 10 million years old. And I visited once as a child, and it's just so cool. There's lots of things you can do in Mammoth Cave National Park and hiking and stuff. Number 2, Halong Bay. It's one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, and it has about 2,000 plus limestone karst formations. It's really, really cool. We got to go here on our honeymoon and spend a couple nights there, but some of these karst formations they'll have beaches on them, or they're caves. They're absolutely stunning to go and behold and to check out for yourself. Number 3, Yellowstone National Park. So my second U.S. national park on here, but it has canyons, it has forests, hot springs, geysers. It also has an immense amount of wildlife, bears, wolves, bison, elk. So great area for natural wonders, especially for the like prismatic springs, like colorful hot springs and geysers, like Old Faithful, waterfalls, canyons, all sorts of things. It's an incredible national park with lots to see and do and tons of wildlife. Number 4, I probably should have included this in the other one, but I'm going to include it here, the Amazon rainforest.
Ah, okay.
10% of the known species on Earth are from the Amazon. It has potentially about 4 billion trees. It is the largest tropical rainforest, and it falls in mostly Brazil, Peru, and Colombia, but also parts of it are in Bolivia, Ecuador, French Guiana, Suriname, and Venezuela. There are species that are unique only to the Amazon, including Amazon river dolphins, giant otters, gray woolly markhor, hoatzin, golden lion tamarins, and then the pygmy marmoset. I mean, there's plenty others that are unique to the Amazon. And in fact, we haven't discovered everything in the Amazon. A new species is found almost on average every other day in the Amazon rainforest, whether that's an insect or a plant. There's just so much that hasn't been discovered because it is such a large area. And it's actually called, I think I've heard it called before, the lungs of the earth, because it is
I've heard that as well.
The amount of oxygen that it provides in the earth because of all of the trees.
I'm going to put in a quick plug here. You mentioned hoatzin.
Yeah.
If you don't know what a hoatzin is, Google it. Look it up.
It's a cool bird.
It is such a cool bird.
Really neat bird.
Really neat bird, yeah.
And then my last one, you know I love this, Lake Baikal. Had to include it. It comprises 1/5 of the world's freshwater. So on the entire Earth, 1/5 of the freshwater is just in Lake Baikal. It is the deepest lake in the world. It is 5,300 feet deep, 395 miles long, and only 30 miles wide. So quite a skinny, long, but extremely deep lake. There are about 300 rivers that flow into Lake Baikal, has about 27 islands. And because large bodies of water retain heat better, it actually has a more mild climate compared to other parts of southern Siberia where it's at. And more than half of the species found here are endemic. So only occur in Lake Baikal. The Baikal seal being one of the more famous ones. So Lake Baikal, pretty cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We do not have any overlap.
Well, you're welcome.
My first natural wonder is the Grand Canyon.
Oh, yeah.
In Arizona, the longest canyon in the world. My second is Victoria Falls.
Oh, duh. Yeah.
The on the border of Zimbabwe of Zambia. What?
Sorry, what is it? The longest.
The greatest sheet of falling water.
Yes. Also, the smoke that thunders.
The smoke that thunders. Victoria Falls. Number 3, the Great Barrier Reef.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You sound like a disappointed TripAdvisor reviewer. It is the
It's a reef. No, I'm just
it's
kidding.
the largest coral reef system in the world, 1,429 miles in length, approximately in area, half the size of Texas.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool and it's pretty big.
Number 4, the Northern Lights.
Yeah, I thought about putting that down.
Okay, well, you didn't. And
what are the Northern Lights?
The Northern Lights is it's like a gaseous phenomenon, right?
So are you.
As soon as I said it, it's a phenomenon in which in the night sky there's like beautiful streaks of green and yellow and purple and blue, and it is
And it occurs in the more cooler parts of the world, like more northern
so,
lights, as you can imagine.
So Norway, Sweden, Iceland, Canada, and Alaska, and they can be viewed from September to March. Mm-hmm. Am I right about that, though? It is gaseous, isn't it?
I want to say it's something to do with the sun's activity and then that being reflected.
Gas.
Okay.
Number 5, Ngorongoro Crater.
Oh, yeah.
The world's largest volcanic crater.
Oh, it is a volcanic crater. I thought it was like a meteorite had like hit and it created that crater.
No. So it's a volcanic crater, and they estimate that if the volcano had not erupted, that it would be taller than Kilimanjaro.
Oh, wow.
So that it would actually be Africa's tallest peak.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now it's a big hole.
But also, I mean, a fantastic safari destination,
Yeah,
obviously.
I believe that the density of wildlife in Ngorongoro Crater, because they can't really leave the crater, is quite big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with like pushing them down there into like the pit, but
Okay.
I mean, that's just me.
Okay.
Kidding.
Yeah.
Number 5, or I'm sorry, that was my 5. The fifth list of Big 5 for the nature episode.
The Big 5 of the Big 5 natural lists
is forests.
And I almost put the Amazon in there, but I was like, the Amazon's too big. Like, it's got to be its own natural wonder of the world. So
yeah, that's fair.
But do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. My first one is the Amazon. You did say that it's the largest tropical rainforest on the planet. It is home to about 3 million species. 2.587 million square miles. It's approximately the size of the continental United States.
Yeah.
Which is just crazy.
Huge. Huge.
And then massive.
It's pretty big. It's pretty big.
It's pretty cool. And then you mentioned that it spans 9 countries. So that's my first one. Number 2, slightly smaller at only 128 square miles, is the Bwindi Impenetrable Forest.
Okay.
When it says impenetrable,
they mean it.
They mean impenetrable. It was Kat and I got to go there in 2022. I was trying to think what year it was. And this was to see mountain gorillas. When you are macheting through the jungle with no known
climbing
path,
up tree roots,
random roots. Yeah, truly impenetrable. Number 3 for me is the Monteverde Cloud Forest in Costa Rica, which houses approximately 50% of Costa Rica's biodiversity.
Wow.
As well as 2.5% of the world's biodiversity.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
It's, if the Great Barrier Reef didn't do it for you,
the Monteverde Cloud
Forest will. Number 4 is the Redwoods National and State Parks.
Okay.
Redwood trees can grow up to 300 feet or more in height, which is approximately, I mean, depending upon like the design and all of that kind of stuff, approximately the height of a 30-story building.
Wow.
And it's a tree.
Yeah. I mean, don't they have like some that are like carved out?
Hollowed out
roads?
so you can drive through them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be cool to see, for sure.
It would be cool to see. And then number 5, the place that started it all for me from a travel perspective.
South Africa?
You look lost. Denali.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Denali National Park. It starts with the forest, and then there's like obviously like different
mountains.
Yes.
Wildlife.
Mount Denali.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I went there, it was Mount McKinley.
Well, now it's
Mount Denali.
Yeah.
But 6 million acres within Denali National Park. So just a large swath of a forest and wildlife preserve. Tons of different animals there, obviously caribou, grizzly bear, Dall sheep, moose.
Your favorite.
All the fun stuff. So those are my top 5 forests.
All right. We had a couple overlap, but I will start with the first one I've written down, which is Daintree Rainforest in Australia. It's the oldest surviving tropical rainforest in the world at about 130 million years old. It houses 65% of Australia's bat and butterfly species, 35% of their 35% of their frog, marsupial, and reptile species. Yeah, and it has the highest concentration of primitive plant life because it is so old. The second one, Bwindi Impenetrable Forest in Uganda. Again, the mountain gorillas. It has more than half of the world's population of mountain gorillas live in Bwindi. Over 200 tree species, 120 mammal species, and 348 bird species. So great place for birding. But yes, it is truly impenetrable. Yeah, it's kind of hard to just randomly hike through it without trails or a machete or other tools to help you get through it because it is very impenetrable in that regard. Number 3, the Black Forest in Germany. I think it's probably one of the more famous forests to visit in Europe. It has dense evergreen forests, mountains, and it has inspired many fairy tales, and it is where cuckoo clocks are from in that area. So beautiful, dense forest in the middle of Europe that you can visit. Number 4, the Monte Verde Cloud Forest, like you said, in Costa Rica, has 3,200 species of plants. I believe 500 species of orchids alone, which is pretty cool. 425 bird species, 120 mammal species, and it just feels like you're in the clouds because it is a very cloudy place. So there's beautiful mountains, and again, the huge amount of biodiversity, like Christopher said. And my last one is the Hoh Rainforest in the Olympic National Park in the Pacific Northwest here in the U.S. It has between 140 to 170 inches of rainfall per year. It's a temperate rainforest, so it is not like a hot tropical type place. Some of these trees are over 1,000 years old. It is a World Heritage Site and Biosphere, and it comprises rocky beaches, subalpine forests, and meadows. But I think the most iconic thing there are the green old growth forest area that looks green everywhere. It looks like you're in Whoville or in a Dr. Seuss novel with all the greenery, so it's really cool. But those are my 5. You have the Daintree Rainforest, Bwindi Impenetrable Forest, Black Forest, Monte Verde Cloud Forest, and the Hoh Rainforest.
Awesome.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to add? Any honorable mentions you want to throw out there?
I think I mentioned a walrus because I wasn't sure if it was a land animal. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think a walrus would be a neat animal to see.
Yeah.
I think all animals.
A blue whale would be pretty
see.
cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That was the natural Big 5.
Yeah.
Next episode, we will be talking all about the man-made Big 5.
Yeah. So cities, monuments, different things like that. But stay tuned for that. Be sure to give us a 5-star review wherever you get podcasts if you're liking what you're hearing. Also, if you have any questions or want to reach out to us, you can reach us on Worldwide Honeymoon or at Worldwide Honeymoon on Instagram and Facebook, WW Honeymoon on X, or you can email kat@worldwidehoneymoon.com. But thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to rate and review our podcast. It takes less than a few minutes and really helps other people find us. Also, if you're enjoying this awesome free information on both the blog and podcast, when you're booking your next trip, head over to worldwidehoneymoon.com/resources and use the links provided. We earn a small commission at no cost to you when you book through these links, and these are all brands and companies we know, love, and use, like Skyscanner for finding the best flight prices, World Nomads for the best travel insurance, TripAdvisor for hotel bookings and reviews, and even Amazon for all of your travel purchases.
Thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Wherever you are, wherever you go, remember to make every day a worldwide honeymoon.